Good morning. I'm Charlotte Jones, co-host of the John Telford Detroit Show, coming to you every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock on Wjzz Cool TV. Also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Dr. John Telford is a former Detroit Public Schools superintendent, a former world-class athlete, conqueror of Olympic champions, a championship track coach, poet, newspaper columnist, a longtime civil rights crusader, and author of 7 books: Creative Insubordination, What Old Men Know, The Will Robinson Story, The Poetic Prancings of Mad John, The Poet Emperor of Earth, and his explosive autobiography, A Life on the Run. Plus, another upcoming poetry book, Athletes, Activism, and Apple Boughs, a Detroit poetic epic. His books are available on Amazon.com or by calling 313-460-8272. That's 313-460-8272. Dr. Telford has been called a legend and also a lightning rod for controversy, a recipient of the City Council Spirit of Detroit Award and the Joe Louis Foundation Spirit of the Champ Award. He was named Wayne State University's Alumnus of the Year, and a Detroit track is named for him. His email is drjohntelfordedd@aol.com. That's dr.johntelfordedd@aol.com. Dr. Telford also has a show on WCHB AM 1340 that airs on Saturdays at 9:30 in the morning and Mondays at 6:30 in the evening. That's on WCHB AM 1340, Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Mondays at 6:30 p.m. And now, without further ado, I present to you that old native Detroiter, the one and only Dr. John Telford.
Thank you, Charlotte Jones, a.k.a. Char J, author of A Ain't Always for Apple, A Ain't Always for Apple, an erotic adult alphabet book, A Ain't Always for Apple. My name is Detroit. I'm a blue-collar town. Blue salt melts my mid-March snow. Speedy cars and sprinters spring from me. I father fierce fighters and funky music. In a Motown moment, I can spit the blues right back in a bureaucrat's eye. Have you never seen blue salt? No complex chemistry here, only the old color of a new sky. And there's a new sky dawning on Detroit today. It's dawning on Detroit today because we have got Captain David Martin of Diversified Security in the station today. So, Captain David Martin, welcome to the John Telford Detroit Show with co-host Charlotte Jones.
Good morning, Dr. Telford. Good morning, Miss Charlotte.
And we got some stuff to ask you.
Yes,
But,
sir.
before we do that, and I'm putting this back on camera again, Mr. Station Manager, if you can see it, because this is my newest poetry book, Athletes, Activism, and Apple Boughs, a Detroit poetic epic. And it's about the athletes I ran against, the athletes I coached, some of my teammates at Northwestern High School and Denby High School and the Detroit Track Club and Wayne State University and the United States national team. And it is also about all of my civil rights activism. That's where the activism part comes into the title. And Apple Boughs, well, that's from a poem that Dylan Thomas wrote, the Welsh poet Dylan Thomas, when I was free and easy under the apple boughs. And that's about the time when he was free and easy under the apple boughs with his many lady friends, as was I with my many lady friends, about 100 years after Dylan Thomas. Not quite that many. But anyway, that's what this book is about. It's my newest poetry book, and it is available on Amazon.com. So, Captain Martin, David Martin,
Yes, sir.
welcome again to the John Telford Show. And tell us a little bit about yourself before we start going into some of the topics that you'd like to talk about.
Well, I am a Detroit native, born in Kansas, but moved here '67 during the riots. So I consider myself as a true Detroiter.
Absolutely.
I love this city. Graduated from Central High School, went off to Michigan State. Michigan University. Also, I've had jobs and I've associated with law enforcement. I also now am head of one of the best security companies here in Detroit. So
Absolutely.
with
It's
a
a,
positive
well,
team.
your security company serves my building, and you're doing a
Yes, sir,
great
we do.
job. That's a wonderful security company, the diversified security. And you're a captain with them, as I understand it. You're
Yes,
a
sir.
captain with them, and you guys are doing a great job. I mean, I hope we keep that company forever.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Mr. Telford.
Went to Central High, huh?
Central High School, right over on Linwood.
Old buddy of mine was teaching English there. When you were there, Ray Cosno. I don't know if you ever had Mr. Cosno for a teacher.
I might have. You know, I'm up to date now.
That's a while
Names,
back.
A while back.
That's a while back.
A long time ago.
Yeah, you were in high school in '67. I was in high school in '50. That's
I
when
was
I
in
got
high
in high
school
school.
in '79.
Oh, 79?
79 came out of
Oh,
82.
79. I thought you said,
Yeah.
what'd you say about
He
1967?
moved here.
I moved
Oh,
to
you
Detroit.
moved here and see. I got it now. I
1967.
got all my years mixed up. Okay, well, listen. Let me ask you this. You want to talk a little bit about politics?
Yes, sir. I love it.
What are your feelings on politics?
I'm very disappointed in our political system right now. I don't see where it is benefiting us as taxpayers. I don't see the promises they're making. None of them keeps them. I don't trust them. We have politicians out here now that's only spewing hatred, you know, and I don't think that's what our constituents are sending them there for, putting them in office. I think what we need is a big change in politics. Dr.
Now, are you
Joe.
talking about national politics, state politics, city politics, or all three of them?
All three.
Okay.
I watch them all. I don't consider myself an expert. I consider myself a man that is concerned.
Yeah.
Of concern of how we on a daily basis can turn on TV and our politicians are jumping around acting like children.
But the citizens who put them in office, they need to demand better things from their elected officials. So a politician can get in there and then he's like, well, I'm in here now, but if you voted for him and you don't hold him accountable, then I think it falls more on the people that put him in office.
And that can be true as well. I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying, but my feelings on it is we vote them in.
So that means they're hired. We hired them.
We hire them in, and just like you and I, they get up and would go to a job every day. If we didn't do our job 100%, we would no longer have that job.
But nobody's holding them accountable. So if you
Exactly.
if you see your elected official that you voted for, make a phone call his office, speak up, send an email. But people don't do that. So
And this is where I felt that I was not doing my part, and now I am doing my part. I am willing to speak out against our politicians that are doing wrong, statewide, is local-wide, countrywide. We should not have to live the way that we're living. I see us going backwards instead of forward in politics. Yes, we vote them in and we hope that they would do right. But it should be a law put in there to where if they're not doing this job, it shouldn't take 4 years of allowing them to destroy our country before we step up, before we can get them out, we can vote them out. It should be a probation period. And if they at the end of that probation period, if they haven't, let's have a special election. Let's get these people out of here. Now, why continue to go down bad roads with certain people? Now, not all politicians are bad, but I would go with 70% of them that I'm seeing today. I'm very disappointed in.
I hate to say I disagree. I know I do agree with you, but one thing we got to make sure happens, and I know you do this, and I do this, and Char does this. We all vote. We vote every time we're supposed to vote. But we've got, most of the folks in the city where you and I live,
Right.
Detroit, they're not voting.
And they're not.
They're eligible to vote. And anybody who's in earshot or eyesight of this show, and you're not voting, or somebody who's not voting, get the word out. Not only must we vote, we have got to vote straight Democratic, up and down the line, up and down the ticket, citywide, statewide, nationwide, but particularly in Detroit, which is my main concern, being a lifelong Detroiter.
Exactly.
We have got to vote straight Democratic because we have got Republicans now who aren't Republicans anymore.
No.
They're not conservatives. They're fascists.
Right.
They are Retrumplicans, is what they are. And I don't want to take over. I don't want to take over your show.
This too. The people always vote for people that name recognition. You should know your candidate. People vote for Gil Hill, Charles Pugh, Martha Reeves. That they vote for, and so you don't. This is a celebrity, and they don't know politics, and that's where I think we run into a lot of problems. Ronald Reagan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all these people got into office not because of their politics, because they were celebrities.
Ronald Reagan knew politics,
okay, but
and
he was an actor.
He was also a Democrat. He started out as a Democrat. He turned and then
so
went.
Our previous president, if you could call him that.
No, he was.
Oh yeah,
he was a criminal.
He's a criminal. But he also was on the Democratic side at one time, and then.
Oh well.
Yeah,
he's never been on any side but the Donald Trump side. That man is a total.
And that's the problem with that, because they voted him in thinking that he was going to be the savior. He's this businessman, but they never looked and seen how most of his business had failed.
Yeah, that's right. No,
you understand? So they sit here and what people need to stop trying to take the easy way out. They don't want to research. They don't want to anything that's not on TikTok or Google. They don't do anything anymore to find out what a person is really like, and if this person fits. Everybody don't fit. Now, before he became president, I have to admit, I kind of liked it, Donald Trump.
I never liked that son of a gun. I got to interrupt you, and I got a poem about him that I like to read on WCHB. I'm going to read it today because I never have time to read it at the end of this show, and I'm gonna read it right now because it's called Uncivil Warfare, and I wrote it on the 6th of January 2021. You remember what happened that day? That's when he fomented that takeover of the Capitol building.
Exactly.
And the other title of this poem is The Turd That Hasn't Flushed.
Right.
On this evil and fatal occasion of the Capitol building invasion, the traitor Trump's collusion demands his execution. God yet hasn't pushed the lever on the traitor Trump forever. And when God does, I'm hoping it's the lever of the gas chamber, but it's not going to be because they'll never execute an ex-president. But let's hope that at least he goes to prison, but not until he runs for president and gets defeated by Joe Biden. Right. Okay, I got my poem
and that's
in.
something I have not been able to understand is how he's allowed to do this, to run for president again after January 6th, after COVID. The false information he put out there, which cost us lives of friends and family.
That's right.
Members. He instilled this falsehood in him, not only by himself, because the media allowed it to go on. They could have stopped it at any time. But they gave him the platform.
Ratings, money.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about. It's about the money.
That's right.
The riches. But yet still, the richer are getting richer and the poor are steady getting poor. We ride past it every day. We see it every day. How do we have people that have served this country living under our highway bridges?
That's right.
Explain that to
Veterans.
me. We have all of these empty buildings around here. You're building up the downtown for the rich to come in and enjoy.
That's what's happening.
But you're not building up abandoned buildings to house people.
Precisely.
You know, we riding around. They call it the hood.
Yeah.
Is what it's called.
Yeah.
Why is it called the hood? So you sit here and you put certain groups of people in an area and tell them this is all you deserve. This is your worth. You take away the educational system from them to where it's just push them through, and half of them can't even read.
Oh, don't get me on
You
that.
know, see what I'm
Start
saying?
on that
So-
topic, man. They can't read. Our kids can't read, you know, because we got the wrong reading program at the third grade level in the Detroit Public
Exactly.
Schools Community District, and we got to get the right program in there.
Exactly. So this is what I would expect out of my politicians. I want to see the change because I have young people in my life. You know, I have children as well, and I want to see them do well in life.
You got grandchildren?
And I have grandchildren.
Going to the Detroit Public Schools Community? No?
Chicago.
Oh, in Chicago?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have some that's here in the elementary, but
Oh, okay.
Chicago high schools and whatnot. But it's embarrassing that we allow and we keep failing generation after generation and allowing people to get away with just throwing. You know, we're past Jim Crow, so we don't have to eat the scraps now. We're supposed to be able to come straight to the
Jim
table.
Crow lives. He's just wearing tie and tails, and he's James Crow
And that's where
Esquire.
we're headed
he's,
back to.
He's still there, man.
I never thought that I would have to constantly sit back at this time in our life and I see us study, debating, and arguing over the same issues they argued in the 60s and the 50s.
Well, Trump made it. He legitimized a lot of this
He woke
racism
up.
and Jim
He
Crowism.
woke it up.
That's right.
Because out of my 58 years of being here, I never experienced it. I've seen it, but I didn't experience it to where the level in which we're having it now. And it's so open now. It's just like me and you sitting here having this conversation. They sit there and speak hatred the
That's
same
right.
way.
That's right.
And it's normalized.
Yeah.
It's,
And I'm upset with CNN. I never thought I'd see CNN do what they did. Give him that forum. But again, it's about ratings and money.
Yep.
And how could they sell out so shamelessly
And
as
they
to
s-
give him that forum that they just
Yep.
gave him to go up there and spew his lies again on national television?
And who was the pushback and the fact check? They didn't have that. Why wasn't it going across the screen that he's lying about?
Right.
None
Right.
of that. They stacked the audience with his people.
That's right. And
So
they were
that's
cheering
not,
his every
right.
word.
So that is a rally.
That's what it was.
That's
They
not a
gave him
town hall.
They gave him a free rally.
They gave him a free rally, and whatnot, which also opened doors to people who doesn't watch Fox News. Now got an opportunity to see
You mean CNN?
CNN.
Yeah.
No, but Fox News as well, because I'm not a Fox News watcher.
I watch them
But-
every now and then just to watch
Just
the
to
enemy
watch.
because
Exactly.
you got to see what they up to. You know the old saying, keep your friends close and your enemies
And-
closer.
and the enemies
It's the same
closer.
thing with who you listen to and what you watch.
Exactly, and I just really feel that when they put him on television, they should have a split screen with a fact checker right next to
Amen.
him.
Amen.
Because you allow once it goes out, it's out.
That lady did her best, you know, but she kept talking over.
She-
He kept talking over her.
She's just
And-
like my first therapist. She was not qualified enough to handle what was coming out of that
No,
man's
she
mouth.
wasn't ready for
She
Trump.
was not ready. She was not ready.
I'll never forget the time Trump debated Hillary Clinton. Remember what he was doing? He was talking over her. He was walking in front of her.
The intimidation was
Yeah, intimidating her with his size and his
and
shouting.
that should have been stopped.
That's right.
That has
That's
never
right.
happened in the history of politics
That's
that I've
right.
ever seen.
That's right.
That the opponent is allowed to intimidate the other person, the other candidate.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Well, she didn't get intimidated.
No,
you
she
know,
didn't.
But,
So she was a strong woman.
But
She's
yeah,
a strong woman. And I don't care. And a lot of them kept saying, well, we don't want Bill back in office. If we put Hillary in office, that means Bill's back in office. But
Oh, man.
But the 4 years that we dealt under Donald Trump, I would have loved to have Bill Clinton.
Oh,
You understand
God,
me?
yes.
At any day. It was still no worse. I would have rather have Bush back.
You know what? Rather than Donald Trump, I vote for Donald Duck. Okay, I mean, you know,
Exactly.
we got to make sure. That's why I'm hoping he runs against Joe Biden because You know, his saving grace is his stupidity.
It's a stupidity, and
Yeah.
we see it every
wait,
day.
wait now, because people follow that stupidity, so don't.
Well, the
hey,
stupid people
What,
following the
80 million
stupidity.
people?
So don't
Yeah.
count that.
They're
no.
still in the total national minority, I think, Char. It'll be closer this time, but Biden will beat Trump in
It
an
was
election.
close last time. I mean,
It's going to be a little closer. It's going to be a little closer, unless they find some ways to cheat that we're not aware of yet.
I really don't want to take
Or
that
we don't
chance.
get these people up out of bed.
Oh yeah, well
To-
that's
to
the
get
key.
up and go
That's
vote.
the key. Every eligible voter in Detroit
Exactly.
and all across the country has got to vote.
Because then the ones that's not voting is the ones that's crying. Well, they not
That's
doing
right.
this for us. They not doing.
Yeah,
But
why didn't you vote?
Why don't you
It's
vote?
your own fault if you didn't vote.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the system is there for us to use.
But let me tell you, if Trump ever got back in again,
It's
you know,
over.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. My late wife, Adrian, and I've quoted her. She was sitting with me and one of my old athletes, a black athlete, and we were talking just before the 2020 election. And she said, if Trump gets in, she pointed at the athlete and she said, "You're gonna be picking cotton." And she pointed at herself and she said, "And I'm gonna be in an oven," because she was Jewish. And then she pointed at me and said, "You're going to disappear in the middle of the night because you keep calling for his execution." You know, but that was true. She wasn't kidding.
Right.
And we got to make sure that man never gets
Never
near
gets
the
back in
presidential chair again.
Never,
Ever.
Again. Because if you want to see it, go the wrong way. Put him back in office. He gave you a sample of it.
Oh man. You know, they say he's a Republican. I mean, he's neither Republican, Democrat, or anything but a Trumpist, self-serving, self-loving, narcissistic antichrist. As far as I'm concerned, is what he is.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
You got a question to ask?
So let's go on to the urban neighborhoods. What are your feelings on those?
The urban neighborhood, I feel that they have been neglected because that's how we're titled. We're labeled as an urban neighborhood. The black neighborhood is urban. I never understood that, but it's out there. But I feel
Well, it
that
was white flight in Detroit. I mean, you know, we have an 85%, 80% black city now.
Well, that's how it always is. You know, the white people move out, the black people move in, then the white people go to an area where the black people just left that they've regentified and built up, and then and then all the black people over here, and then the black people go back down there, and then the white people move over here. So it's a constant change.
That's what's
But
been happening.
it's sad. We ride around in these neighborhoods and how torn down. I remember I used to put the kids in the car and take them through neighborhoods and say, "You want to live like this, or you want to continue to live the way that we're living now?" Because there is a choice, and because you're in the hood, don't mean you have to have a hood mentality. Because so many successful people has escaped from the hood.
That's right.
Okay, I escaped from the hood. I'm a Brewster Project kid, you know, as well. So I escaped from it, and we all can escape from it. But society has given us this program to where they don't have the drive anymore. You know, they can settle for less and not want more because this is what they're being told. This is how they're being educated.
You just said the key word, education. That's how you got out.
Yep.
That's how I got out. Of course, I was on 16th and McGraw. I'm a white kid, but I grew up on 16th and McGraw. But of course, I got out of athletics too, athletic scholarship. That's how I was lucky enough to go to college.
Right.
But education is the key.
Is the key.
And that's why we've got to fix that reading program in the Detroit Public Schools Community District, and it's got to be fixed immediately.
Right.
They've got a program right now that works at the secondary level, does not work at the elementary level. Third grade, if a kid comes out of the third grade not able to read, his whole future is determined, and
Exactly.
it isn't a good future. So that's got to happen, and that's my little
And
sermon
when
for
I
that.
was back in school, right around the corner, not through Spain Elementary, Lincoln, Spain Middle School, Lincoln Elementary, and all those, the teachers were engaged.
Yes.
they were allowed to chastise us
Oh.
before we got home.
You were
You
kidding
understand
about
what I'm saying?
that. Yeah.
Because how do you ask someone to watch your kids for several hours a day and don't discipline them at all? Don't have no say. Just let them run wild. You understand? So, you know, the urban neighborhood needs to get rid of why we have to have all the liquor stores, why we have to have all the dispensaries, and then you go right across 8 Mile and a little further, and you can't even find. Oh my God! And you can't even find these things happening to where every block there's a dispensary or a liquor store. And I'm not knocking the business. I'm not knocking the business. I don't want nobody thinking that that's what I'm doing. But this is why it's the hood. Because all you offering the people on a daily basis is alcohol and drugs. And what does that do? Keep them laid back. They don't want to do nothing. They ain't got time. You know, they don't feel like, and all they're looking for is the next high.
When you were in elementary school, were the teachers allowed to spank you?
Oh, Mr. Whiteside had a paddle.
I'll bet he did. It had holes in it.
It had
too,
holes
right?
drilled
Yeah,
in
right.
it. And we had to take that from
You
him.
bet. Tell me about it.
These kids now fight the teachers.
Yeah,
understand what I'm saying?
Tell me about that too.
Because once again, the system did that. They
Yeah.
gave them a 1-800 number and said, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's child abuse." I got with switches and extension cords. That was child abuse. So
I got to tell you a story. It's in my poetry book too. I wrote a poem about it. I can't find it, but you know, one time I had a teacher, Ms. McGinnity. She grabbed me by the hair, knocked my head against the wall,
Right.
and I was very indignant about that. And I went home, and I said to my father, "Ms. McGinnity grabbed me by the hair and knocked my head against the wall." And he said, "Oh, like this?" She grabbed me by the bam, bam, knocked my head against the wall. That's the last time I ever complained about getting spanked or beat, man.
I know. We used to get it. If we got whooped at one end, when we got home, it was like, how did you know I just got in trouble down the street? You know,
right.
But that's how it was. Yeah. Parents were a little bit more engaged than they are now. You know, and they're being, you know, it's just a sad situation on how we're living, and that once again go back to the people we're putting in office that says, "Oh, I'm going to help fix this neighborhood," and then you don't even live in the neighborhood. You barely drive through the neighborhood. I think, and I say this all the time, if you represent an area, you should have to live in it.
I totally agree.
You should not be living out in Southfield or nowhere else.
Amen.
And you're representing 7 Mile.
Right. I believe that about the police, and I believe that about the teachers.
Exactly. Because if you have to live in it, you would be more concerned about what's going on in it. Not coming in there trying to chastise everything that's going on.
That's right.
But you actually trying to help your community. And we don't have that here in the city of Detroit.
You got that right.
We can't even get the mayor to stay in his house.
Oh, isn't he staying in his house? You go to Livonia all the time?
No, the one that's around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you're the mayor of Detroit.
Yeah.
You should be living in Detroit, in the house that was provided for you to stay in.
But pretty soon he's going to be living in Lansing, because I think he's probably going to run for governor.
Well,
It's going to happen.
You're watching Wjzz Cool TV, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And I want to say, I had a book signing scheduled for this Saturday. We have canceled. Well, we have postponed, so I will keep you informed about that. And then Recovery Park Farms has Farm Days event series all summer long. Have different acts coming on 6/3. We've got Ivan Benning and Soul Smooth. That sounds like a good concert. And I think they're having like the farm to table dinners along with that. And then they've got sponsorship packages. They've got several starting at $5,000 all the way down to $250. And if you have questions, you want to be a vendor, you want to sponsor, you can email farmdaysinfo@gmail.com. farmdaysinfo@gmail.com. John, do you have any announcements?
Yeah, well, I have this one thing I want to say. If you want to get some really fancy clothing for your wife or your significant other or your daughters, go over to Wjzz Boutique over on East Warren near the corner of Outer Drive, and she will be more than happy to sell you some of this incredible clothing that she sells over there. So just go on over and do that. I didn't bring my little spiel that I usually say today because I was a little absent-minded this morning, but I can't forget that if I know what's good for me. I got to make sure that you know to go over there and get that fine apparel that you can't find anywhere else in the city of Detroit.
You got the phone number, right?
But she's doing a new phone number now.
Oh.
Yeah, something went wrong with the old phone number, and next week we'll be able to give that phone number out.
Okay. All right. Then.
So we are hosting today on the John Telford Detroit Show with Charlotte Jones and myself, a distinguished gentleman who is a real crusader for the city, and a real crusader for what's right, for righteousness, and that is Captain David Martin of, what's the security company again?
Diversified Security.
Diversified Security, which actually is the security company that services the building where I live, the River House at 8900 East Jefferson in Detroit. And they are doing a marvelous job. But beyond that, this is a gentleman that has a lot to say about politics, about the city. And the other day, you know, I told him I'm going on my show, and I had somebody coming to pick me up. And he said, well, I'd like to go on your show too. And I said, okay. So I said, how about the week after next? You know, you come on and you send me some questions about topics you want to discuss. So we have Captain Martin here today, and I want you to ask. I want you to tell us now your opinion about because this is something that you want to talk about too. How our kids are coming up these days in the city of Detroit.
Our kids are coming up too fast and in the wrong direction, is my opinion. You know, I always say, when Grandmama was 65, we were wonderful. When Grandma became 35, it became chaos.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because she had a child at 16, and
Right.
then that child had a child at 16,
Right.
and so
Or earlier.
or earlier.
And it's a cycle, a continuous cycle, just like welfare was a continuous cycle. Grandmama was on it, mama was on it, daughter's on it, daughter taught daughter to be on it, you know, and whatnot. But that was part of what the system put out there. I'm going to give you this money.
It was part of what kept the father out of the home,
It
too.
took the father out of
That's
the home.
right.
Because if I'm going to give you a check every 2 weeks, you can't have a man in that house
That's right.
to raise those men that are coming up, which is the sons.
That's right.
So what do? But what we're going to do, we're going to build more cages to put your sons in. We're going to build more cages to put those fathers in. Now we got mothers out here that was forced, excuse me, to become strong women. Because
right.
I was raised by one.
Right.
You know, and she raised us all, kept us all under the same roof. We didn't go without clothes, food, or housing.
Yeah.
And she did it all on her own.
Yeah.
And I applaud her for that, and I applaud single mothers to that. All single mothers. I'm not saying you're a bad person to have a child at 16. But I do believe that we need to put some type of program in that helps these people, these young women and men, become useful in this world. Not just having babies and laying back. We have children that we're sending out every day that don't even know what it's like to be hugged or kissed by their parent. Mm. You got young black men that have never been embraced by their fathers. And this is not something that I'm just talking about or I read. This is part of my experience in life, because I never was hugged by my dad. But it didn't make me a lesser father than who I am today. It made me a better one. But if I allowed society to stipulate how I was going to go, because I didn't have that love or that respect. My sons now, when they see we embrace, to this day, Will tell you, I still kiss him on the forehead when we see each other.
Amen.
You understand what I'm saying? Love is something we need to back and still, because that's what people are afraid of. That's more powerful than anything else is love. And so if you teach and instill love in these children, we're turning out more productive children. We got to let them know that the video game is not a babysitter device. When your child come home from school every day, you're supposed to be there if it's possible.
Engage with them.
To engage in it. How was your day? We keep hollering about all these different things. Well, how was your day? Let me put mine to the side.
And how much homework do you have?
Exactly. And engage in your children's lives on a daily basis, and you will turn out a more productive person in society. We don't want to continue to keep turning out our young black kids or some of our young white kids to the system. To where they're incarcerated and this is all that they know, into a system that's supposed to be what? Rehabilitating them. It makes them worse people.
Yeah,
because they come out even more
and go back.
angrier.
They come out and go
They
back.
come back.
The
Or they
recidivism
come out
rate
and
is
get
very low.
killed or something.
That's
Exactly.
Doing the same things that
That's
they
right.
really want to
Exactly.
go in there.
Because we're labeled, most of our young black men are labeled as worthless. Drug dealers. You know, that's all they know how to do. And that's not right. But when you give them no resources, nothing to look forward
Yeah,
to.
what else are they going to do?
Right.
Exactly.
Mostly girls will seek out education more so than a boy.
That's also
Exactly.
true.
You know, if you don't give it to her, she'll ask questions, but a boy he'll just take.
He'll
what's-
find another route.
Right.
He finds another route. And we have people out there that will dangle the golden rod in their face,
You bet they will.
but they won't tell them the story about going to prison.
That's
The
right.
judge giving you 20 years.
That's right.
Somebody killing you.
Yeah, they
You
won't
know,
give you the scared straight.
They don't give you right.
speech.
They don't give you the true story. They give you the
That's right.
glamour.
Yeah.
They sell you the glamour. So we need more parents to get engaged in their children. We need more fathers, and if a father's not there, that's where uncle comes in at.
That's right.
That's an uncle's job.
Or the man next door.
Or the man
sometimes.
next
Something. But then they don't want nobody saying nothing to their kids.
To their kids.
Well,
It's a vicious cycle. And then okay, so now the grandmother is 35. She never had a life because
Right.
she, didn't get to act up. Now she want to go hang out, and that's when the daughter gets pregnant because nobody's in the home watching the daughter because she's out in the streets partying. So something has to be done to stop that. Like at 16, don't have a baby. Figure out how to go to school or something like that.
I joke a lot of times and say, you need a license to drive a car. You should have a license to have a baby. To make it, we make things too easy, and we don't question what we're doing out here, and we're just letting it go, and I think that's a big failure in the home as well. You know, that old time thing. I had a praying grandmother. You understand what I'm saying? So I had someone that was engaged in our lives. If we wasn't dropped off here and there, we were taken to our grandparents' home, and we were disciplined there, at grandmother's house.
Oh yeah.
And you can't talk to kids like they stupid because they not.
They're not.
Oh,
You
no,
need to
no,
talk to
they know.
kids on their level. I talk
That's
to
right.
my grandkids
Right.
and explain it to them. Hey, this is the reality of how things are going to be if you do the wrong
Exactly.
thing. And they have this look like, what? But I'm telling, like, really? That's how it goes? Yes, that's how it goes. So they don't get it, but I break it. I know their parents probably not gonna tell them like I tell them. But I was like, I ain't got time for you to be stupid. I need for you to understand what's going on in the world.
Yeah, because
So-
my baby girl Lexi, I always used to tell her, the world is not easy, and I
Even
would
if
say
you're doing
things
the right thing, it ain't easy.
exactly. How you dress, how you present yourself is how you will be respected. If you come out with we don't have to guess anything, as I call them, hot and ready. Clothes all up. You see what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
can
I
see
know
everything
exactly.
about you.
Yeah.
I ain't got to wonder. But then when I step to you in that manner, you claim that I'm disrespecting you, but that's how you represent yourself.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So we have to clean up ourselves. Young men the same way. Learn how to sit up. Learn how to talk.
Yeah.
Learn how to
People in
respect.
the eye.
Right. See, B's and H's is not what a woman is because
That's
your
right.
mother was once a your mother is a woman, is a queen. You should respect your sister. So you want to get upset if someone disrespect your sister or your mother, but then you go out here and do it to somebody else's sister and somebody else's mother.
What I don't like is how they call women females. My female, like, what is that? We don't call guys males. I was with my male, but they always, and I'm like, when did that become a thing? Like, that's my female.
Because this generation has taken language and has turned it all around to where it sounds cool.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Everything has to be cool in order to get off. But I'm going to tell you, it ain't always what you think. It's really not. And I just think that people should learn to love and respect each other and stop asking for something that you can't give. And if you can't give it, don't expect it. You know, I walk through here, I try to respect everyone on a daily basis. Can I go to that different level? Oh, of course. You know, I tell people I'm half hood, half holy. You know, I tell people that all the time today, but I'm laughing. But it's the thing is I believe in what's right. I want to walk that life. I want to walk that road. And anything that stands in my way, I push to the side. Or I jump over. Because the God I serve is a higher one anyway. So there's nothing that can come before me that I can't overcome. And that's what I tell. They took the church, religion out, the household. That destroyed.
Out of schools, the
out of
Pledge
school.
Allegiance.
Right. Everything is gone now. So everything is gone.
Yeah.
As you walk through the schools and it's like, man, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, and if we get one or two of them out of the school system, graduating, that's a plus. And that's what we should. That's the foundation we build on.
That's another of our hidden. You know, the graduation rate in the Detroit public schools is abysmal. It's like about, I think it's probably under 20% now.
Right.
You know, that 20% or less, most are girls.
Right.
That's what we've got to turn around. You know, I did most of my teaching. The only teaching that I didn't do in Detroit was when I was teaching at the college level.
Right.
And the kids that I taught in Detroit needed services that have been taken away now.
Exactly.
But you know, Captain Martin, you wanted to talk a little bit about the state of the Detroit Police Department.
Right.
So, given the time frame we're at, I'm going to move on to that question.
Okay.
So,
I have a problem with Detroit Police Department because of the way they police it now.
Okay.
In certain areas.
All right.
Okay. And they ride around here in the city, and there's nothing against them because I support my police department.
I got kids I taught who are cops now.
Exactly.
You were a cop too,
right.
Before you did what you were doing now.
You jump up and you're riding around deep in these black SUVs now. You jump out fully military. That's intimidating. You're fully militarized and you're grabbing people. You're not respecting them, but you demand respect. But because I'm in the hood and you pull me over, don't mean that you're entitled to disrespect me. You know, and treat and talk to me any kind of way and snatch me up and assume as soon as you pull me over that I have a gun or drugs in the car.
Yeah.
I can't be educated because I'm on the east side of Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, I can't, because I choose a certain car to drive means that I have to be labeled as a certain person.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So see, if you get out the car with that attitude, when you approach my car, you don't intend on respecting me. You know, and then you sit here and this grabbing of the guns. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
How is it that I've watched shooting after shooting and let them justify it and all this, and I don't agree with it. I don't care what you get up there and say, or how many police officers I know. But I've seen young men gunned down that we could have went a different route.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
A total different route.
Definitely.
Several of these young kids would be still here today if we would have went a different route. Yeah. So if you want to holler it, send social workers out here. Okay? Yeah, why not put the resources back in the black community? You took all the mental resources out of the community.
That's right.
Okay? Everything is not... We have some bad people, and then we have some people that need mental health services. But if you
He
take
closed Lafayette Clinic. That was one of the worst things we ever did.
why justify it? You see what I'm saying? Why the police aren't walking anymore?
Yeah.
Why they're not walking the neighborhood,
Yeah, we need
interacting with the people?
We need a beat policeman, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We don't need police riding around burning up taxpayer dollar money.
We got some that are on bikes and stuff. So I mean,
I don't see him on bikes in the neighborhood.
I don't see him in Detroit.
I don't see him on 7 Mile and Hayes area and all those areas.
No.
I don't see him on bikes.
I can say that I have, but
Yeah, but
okay.
it's in Harper Woods.
No.
You talking about
We
Detroit?
don't got that in Harper Woods. We did have a beat cop in Harper Woods, so we had one. So you're watching the Dr. John Telford Detroit Show live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like us, follow us, share us, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. So sum up what you'd
Can
like
I
to
say something before he does?
Go ahead.
I got enough time?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, my poem in the Downtown Detroit Monitor is on the stand still right now. And, it's about something that's happening new that's kind of disturbing. My poem this month first appeared in 1966 in Serendipity, a publication of the Detroit Public Schools Language Arts Department, accompanied by a brief discussion lesson on the poetic use of irony. And in this dawning era of artificial intelligence, which in the wrong hands can become very scary, there are a few things that computers can't do yet. And this is the poem. I call it the push-button prayer. Oh, great God computer, compute me some stars. Construct me a meadow from green isobars. Produce me a poem. Present me a brother. Research me a methodological lover. Compute me a silver moon shimmering sea. But great God computer, pray don't compute me. And that's what they're doing. That's what's starting to happen. They can actually put an image of President Biden on a television show and have him say something he didn't say.
He needs to stop.
And that is scary.
Okay, now.
You got any commentary about that before we move on to your summation?
That's going to be it, John. So.
Okay, well, better than just somewhere where anything you want to say.
Okay, basically what I want to see, I want the system to become equal. That's what I want. I want the same benefits, the same facilities and things in which we have over in our 8 Mile and Ferndale areas. I want to see that in our inner cities. Absolutely. I want to see these vacant houses gone.
Yeah.
I want to see teachers making money because you're educating my child. And it's hard for teachers with the salaries they make. It's embarrassing.
They need $100,000 a year. We should pay every teacher should be paid $100,000 a year.
They should.
And that's going to sum it up. Thank you
Okay.
for joining us today. Good show. You've been listening to the John Telford Detroit Show with Dr. John Telford and co-host Charlotte Jones on WJZZ Detroit Internet Television, coming to you live every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Contact Dr. Telford at 313-460-8272. That's 313-460-8272. Or at Dr. John Telford, EDD, at AOL.com. That's DRJOHNTELFORDEDD at AOL.com. To sponsor or appear on this show, or to get signed copies of his book, which Hill Perkins, Jeffrey Feiger, and Dr. Wayne Dyer all called Spellbounding and Sensational. It was the late, great Dr. Wayne Dyer who said, Dr. John Telford has a warrior's heart and a poet's soul. Read Dr. Telford's commentaries on the schools and other vital topics in the Telford Telescope column in the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. And also hear him on his other station, WCHB AM 1340, every Saturday morning at 9:30 and Monday evening at 6:30. That's every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. and Monday evening at 6:30 p.m. on WCHB AM 1340. Tune in again next Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock to the John Telford